Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, no matter where in the world you may be. Welcome to another live edition of the Highbury Squad. It's Lockdown Series Volume 2, Episode 50. Are you still riding that North London Derby high? We are. I was waiting for this, Kev. Welcome back to the show. Super Kev and Campbell.
Oh.
I think Newman wants to put me in a timeout because you know how we are with lateness. Now, were we late? Let's see. It's 1:02. Trailer started a minute ago. Maybe 58 seconds. I was stuck in traffic on the 405 in Los Angeles.
Which is a bloody nightmare. I can tell you.
You've done it.
It's a nightmare. I've done it. Oh, Jesus, please.
Oh, the irony. Oh, be careful what comes back.
Who's going to reprimand you? Who's going to reprimand you?
If you put me on a timeout, it's all you. It's all you, Kevin. It's all you. But no, jokes aside, I was actually on the LA Galaxy press conference and that went a little bit longer, but I do believe we started on time, Kev. Whoever wants to contest that, you know, we'll listen. We'll listen to their case.
They need to deal with the timekeeper. They need to deal with the timekeeper.
Which is usually Amesy, and I don't think she's in chat tonight. So, yes, has Gabriel emptied his pockets? Harry Kane still missing. This is the Arsenal player profile. So far, we have done Saka. We have covered Martin Odegaard. We have covered Pablo Mari. And Gabriel Martinelli, and today we are doing Gabriel dos Santos Magalhães. Now in Portuguese, Kev, you would do the j. You would do the j. But I listened to various pronunciations online, and I do believe that there were 2 or 3 that were different. So I'm just going to call him simply Gabriel.
Yeah. Why not?
Why not? Good evening, everyone. Welcome, squaddies. Thanks so much again for joining us. We really appreciate you guys everywhere around the world. Zlatan's not there anymore, Matty K. I don't know if you heard, but he's playing for AC Milan now. But when he was here, he was a joy. Kev knows. I always used to get buzzed when I talked to Zlatan. I'd be like, Kev, oh my gosh. And in LA, Kev, and in, as you know, in American sports, you get to stand right by their locker room.
Oh, of course.
I always used to check out his kicks. He's got this amazing tattoo on his back. I mean, it's insane. But just kind of like being there, it was like humbling.
Yeah, you get up close and personal, don't you? You can get close to them, speak to them by their locker. It's a lot different in England. It's a lot more controlled, It's more controlled. Not as controlled as when you turn up in Merseyside town and the Everton fans find out you're at the local pub, and then before you know, it weren't even at the local pub. Do you know what happened? Do you know what happened? Me and Red Nose John, we were meeting my friend, but obviously the car can't take you right by the stadium, so we just stopped at the top of the road. Look, so imagine Avenel Road. You stop. As if you're coming from the tube, you stop at the top there and you're just walking up towards the Marble Hall. That's where we were. Amazing. And then once they knew I was there, my God, all you hear is, "You're right, Super Kevin." Then next minute, it was mayhem, mate.
I mean, it was beyond mayhem, Kev. You were literally, it was like the Beatles. I mean, it was that crazy. I love it. This is how much fans love you and stuff like that. So let's get started, shall we, on Gabrielle?
Let's
our player profile today. Let's get going. I'm going to give KC some background here. He was a very sought-after player in 2020. Chelsea, Everton, Man United, Napoli especially, Spurs especially, even Liverpool were interested. And Fabrizio Romano reported that Spurs and Liverpool were interested. Napoli and Man United tried to steal him from us at the very end. But in the end, he chose the Arsenal. And if you guys want to talk about Nicola Pepe assists, here's one for you that you will always be proud of. Gabrielle spoke to Nicola about playing for the Arsenal. And of course, they'd played together at Lille previously, and he said great things about the Gunners to the young Brazilian. And, you know, he kind of had this moment at Lille, KC. He went out on loan to Zagreb. He also went out on loan to Troyes, which was a League Two team. Actually, LA Galaxy just signed a player, Grandsir, from Troyes, which is really interesting. And I do believe that when he was at Lille, it was Marcelo Bielsa that sent him on loan to Zagreb. Right. But Bielsa did not have a good time at Lille, and we'll leave it at that. But let's see, where did it all begin, Kev, for Gabriel? He was born. Wait for it. This made me feel old. He was born in 1997 in Sao Paulo, Brazil. Kev, do you know what I was doing in 1997? Well, you were scoring goals. I was working on the release of Titanic in the UK in the international market.
Wow.
I mean, wow, Kev.
Well, you know, this is the crazy thing. You know, having two sons, 121 and 118.
Oh my God.
I relate to everything that you're talking about. Of course I do, because these things were quite prominent, but my boys were babies at the time. Do you know what I mean? So it's unbelievable.
Yeah. I mean, it's really kind of crazy. So you could say his rise wasn't meteoric. Here's what happened. You know, he was born in Sao Paulo and he went to Florianopolis to play for Avaí at age 13. And like a lot of players who leave home, they get really homesick. It's not easy. And he left at the age of 13, Kevin. Yeah. 13. And I don't think it's too far, Florianopolis from Sao Paulo, but leaving home and your parents and your family is a really, really big deal. Before I move on, I wanted to ask you a little bit. Did you move? You didn't have to move too far, but even leaving London to go up north, like it's a change. It's a life change. You've got things that you need to deal with.
Even as an adult, it's difficult. So let alone a 13-year-old boy. You know, listen, that leaving home is happening, has happened in England for years. And, you know, boys travel from Ireland, Scotland, all over from north and come down to Arsenal and play. Obviously, it's a little bit different now with the academies and stuff. But boys, obviously, from abroad now come in and leave their own country and come in as babies. And it's hard. You know, they have digs and they have families who look after them. It is not easy. It is definitely not easy to leave your home, your mum and your dad or your guardians or whatever, things that you know, to go to a football club and basically you're a young professional.
Yeah.
It's hard.
Yeah. And it is very different, Kevin, from you know, back in the day where you'd move cities as opposed to countries. And when we've seen it even with Saliba, you know, the transition is not easy, right? It's never easy. So, you know, Gabriel had a moment. He spent a week in Florianopolis with Avia, and then he left and went back. His dad, however, like you, the way you talk to your sons and coach them, convinced him that if he's going to be a professional footballer, he needs to overcome this. You know, he's going to move in his career. And there was an injury to a defender at Lille. And before you knew it, in 2018, played 14 times, got his chance. And really in 2019, made his supermark in football. Became a regular in Liga and also the Champions League. Made 39 appearances for Lille across the board. And became a very integral player for them, Kevin. Very important player.
Do you know, Sophie, I just think, obviously, the talk he had with his dad was significant, because if you, as a young boy, you don't understand it. But obviously his dad understood it. And that kind of put his mind at rest, you know, so he could go on and flourish. And boy, he went to Lille and he produced the goods. And his name was around Europe. Everyone knew about him.
Yes.
Everyone wanted him. So it was a matter of, we ain't in the Champions League, Sophie.
No.
And it's all very well speaking to your old mate, Nicola Pepe, who's at Arsenal, but he's has struggled at times. Mm-hmm. There's not been, obviously just won a trophy as well, which was good. Pepe would be in a good place. He played a significant role, etc. But we weren't in the Champions League, and this young man was used to playing in the Champions League. Now he's made his name in the Champions League.
Yeah.
So what is the deciding factor, Sophie? Because I'm sure they would have spoke to everybody. The deciding factor is you speak to the managers.
Yeah, and there's no doubt that Arteta and Adu have proved they can close. And listen, even previous, you guys, think about it. We convinced Lacazette to come to Arsenal without Champions League football. Aubameyang, Tierney, Partey, Gabrielle. Yeah. This is very important. This is where you need to kind of take a step back and a breath and say the pool, and Kevin has said this on the show a lot, the pool of Arsenal Football Club, despite our challenges in the Premier League, is still great.
Massive. It's massive.
Yes. I mean, it really is. So, Kev, before I get to his attributes, where I want you to get stuck in and take over here, I want to read some quotes about Gabriel from some people that, have played with him. This was him at Lille, actually, in 2019, playing Chelsea at Stamford Bridge against Willian, Kev, who went on to become his teammate. His former manager at Lille, Christophe Galtier, says this, Kev: he has a lot of character for a 22-year-old. Despite his height, he is super fast and covers his side well. He is the player who has won the most aerial duels in the first part of the season. And that's when he was talking about him in the last part of the season. Freelance writer Romain Molina labeled him a colossus. His former teammate and one of his mentors, Jose Fonte, who played at West Ham and Southampton.
Yeah, good player he was.
Said this: he has to keep defending well by being aggressive, well positioned and not taking risks. When he talked to him about playing in the Premier League, Fonte said that Gabriel went to him for advice, and he told him it's a great move, of course. And he said he thought, and I quote, "He'll be very successful. I have no doubt about it. He's a great player, and I'm very happy for him." And Lille president Gerard Lopez, before the transfer, said he's an absolute machine. So to me, he's on his way. If not this year, he'll be on to a really big club. I'm certain he's on his way to the Brazilian national team too. So those are the people, Kev, that have been closest to him. Mm-hmm. And when you hear them talking about a player like that, I wonder, do Arsenal fans really understand? Again, perhaps, I'm not saying we stole him from Lille, but when you look at the price that we paid for him too, Kev, talk me through that just a little bit.
Well, what
these quotes said, yeah.
Well, here's what I will say. Let's talk about the quotes first, and then we'll get to the price at the end, right? Obviously, people he's played with, owner, etc. Listen, the guy at a young age, he's an aggressive defender. You don't really, if you look at the Premiership, you don't really see it, Sophie. So he's one of those defenders who is going to make your life a nightmare if you don't like physical contact and challenges. Now, we've seen the way he is. He's a big guy. He's aggressive. He's good on the ball. He's got a good left foot. He's a good passer of the ball as well, which really does help. Mm-hmm. But he's quick across the ground, and he covers very well. And do you know what? I'm so pleased Mikel Arteta spoke to him and got him in, because I'm going to say it again, Sophie, for well over a decade, we've been crying out for a centre-half. Mm-hmm. Young, quick, aggressive. We've not had that in years. We were soft at the back. People love playing against us. I know now people don't like playing against that kid. No. He's very good. He's very good. And the price, Sophie, I'm going to be honest with you, Sophie. If Harry Maguire is 80 million,
bingo.
Right? If he's 80 million, which I'm not knocking the price, if he's 80 million, Gabrielle must be 60 million to start.
Easy.
I think he's a better player than Harry Maguire. But I'm saying unknown coming in, you've got to be looking at 50, 60 million to get him. But what is it, 23 we paid?
In the end, with the transfers, I think it was
with the add-ons.
Around 30 million euros.
We've stole him. Sophie.
Yeah.
And I think the problem, not the problem, the issue for Lille was the pandemic.
Mm-hmm.
The pandemic proved to be the determining factor. Thanks, Newman. 27 million
pounds.
And they needed to cash in because they needed the money. They knew what was coming. And we were right in it. And we stole him. We did.
Yeah. And they were reluctant. I mean, Lille knew what they had,
Yeah.
They were reluctant, but, these are the same with Saint Etienne. The owners and the president did not want to sell Saliba to us. But in the end, you just look, even Arsenal Football Club had to sell Amy Martinez, and we're in essence a bigger club. And someone said, define a bigger club. Listen, don't mistake being a big club with position in the league. There's a difference. Manchester United dropped like a lead balloon in the Premier League and have not won it since Sir Alex Ferguson has left. But they are still a big club, one of the biggest in the world, top three.
Top three, without a doubt.
That pedigree does not go away because you haven't won the title in a number of years. So let's hold on to that one. Kev, I'm going to get to his attributes a little bit. And I read a great article written by Grant Maitland in Get French Football News as well, where he was waxing lyrical about Gabriel. I mean, his height is really perfection. I mean, Arsenal had that in, I feel like he's one of the beginning of this new line of defense. Him and Tierney's not as tall, of course. But those two, he doesn't need to be in his position. But those two CBs, he's 6'3". His preferred foot is the left foot. Now, before I go on a little bit more with his attributes, we've talked a lot about the 4 versus the 3. He can definitely play in the back 3. He's a very imposing figure who, no matter the system we're playing at the back, he can definitely deal with the forwards' physicality. And a lot of
ask Harry Kane.
Yes, and we saw that, right? And Harry Kane can be a bully. We've seen that.
He tried to give him one back. And he did give him one back. But Gabrielle brushed it off. Come on. You give me your best and it's not going to stop me.
So can you talk me through a little bit about system, his left foot, the non-2 left-footed? We've talked about this before, but the back 3 versus the traditional back 4. Can you help me understand that a little bit more, where Gabriel fits in? Because to me, he seems like a baller who could play, period.
Me personally, I think whether it's a back 4, he can play on the right side of centre half, he can play on the left side of centre half. Or if it was in a 5 with a 3 middle boys, he can play either on the centre one, or he can play the left-hand side of centre half. Basically, so if it's a 5 and Kieran Tierney will push on, he handles the left-hand side third of the pitch. So at times he's in that left back spot. And at times you actually see him now get the ball because Kieran Tierney's up the pitch. You actually see him operate from that position. And he's a good operator. He's a good passer of the ball. And he doesn't make a lot of mistakes. Have you noticed that? He doesn't make a lot of mistakes. He's usually very good with the ball coming out from the back. So that's why, whether it's as a 4 or as a 5, he can play either of them positions very, very well.
Yeah. Good evening to all the squaddies in chat and anyone new joining us. Thanks for popping in and saying hello. You're listening to the Highbury Squad. This is the player profile, and today we're looking at Gabriel. Yes, he's been with us since last summer, but we like to let it marinate and then take a deeper, closer look at new players when they come in. Kev, one of the things that Grant Maitland said was that he's very good shoulder to shoulder.
Mm-hmm.
Shoulder to shoulder. Tell us what that means when it comes to, is it shoulder to shoulder when you're close to the forward? Is it shoulder to shoulder in the air?
It's close to the forward. Basically, when a striker, because if you notice a striker, a lot of the time a striker's got back to goal.
Mm-hmm.
And the centre half normally is behind him. So you're not shoulder to shoulder. So what Gabriel tends to do, he steps to the side, because what he wants to do, he wants to impose and use his physical strength on the striker.
Mm-hmm.
So when he's that shoulder to shoulder, so you imagine somebody being beside me here, that will be Gabrielle. And then obviously it then becomes a fight. And Gabrielle tends to win those one-on-one battles a lot more than the striker does.
Right.
So he uses his physicality to the best of his ability.
Yeah, and that physicality, I don't know if we've seen this kind of, he's a hybrid defender. Like, he has the physicality, he has the pace, he has the strength, he has the football, knowledge, brain.
Mm-hmm.
And when he was at Lille, Kev, one of the things that I had read a lot is even Pepe, he has this over-the-top ball that Lille used to love, and the likes of Pepe used to love running onto. I'm not sure we've seen a lot of that at the Arsenal yet, but one of the things Arsenal fans question about him is his distribution. I just don't think it's part of his game that we've seen the best of yet. But when he was at Lille, he was on point with that. And one of the biggest things that fans loved about him, and also his own teammates loved about him too.
Yeah, I think that what people have to understand is, and I've said it quite a few times, and I'll reiterate and explain it a little bit more. When Gabriel's on the football, teams very rarely defend high against Arsenal. They defend deep. So we can't knock that ball over the top. When you're playing Lille are a good team, but they're not a much fancy team like a PSG, a Monaco and all these teams. So teams will defend them high. So he'll be picking the ball up low, outside of his box. Teams are defending the halfway line. And for speedsters like Pepe, he just could go ping, hit a diagonal ball over the top, and Pepe's off on his run. And it looks wonderful. But when teams defend deep, they're not going to allow you, Arsenal, to do them over the top. We said it last season when Aubameyang done Chelsea. Teams will adjust. Teams are not going to let you beat them with that one ball.
Mm-hmm.
You have to come correct. You got to come different. You got to be able to play through us. And that's what was catching us out most of the first half of the season.
I want to know what you think of this, because Pramod says, because I mentioned hybrid defender, he's thinking Toure was the last one, and Victor's thinking Sol Campbell. There's a little bit, he's not as big yet as Sol, but there's something about the two that I think Victor and Pramod are right.
Yeah, I think his Toure was athletic, wasn't he? He was athletic.
Yeah, very.
He could get around the pitch. And Sol Campbell was a brute. He was strong. He was tough, and he was quicker than people give him credit for, because nobody really runs Sol, but he was dominant. He was a tough defender, and Toure was tough. And Gabrielle is kind of a mix of both of these players.
Mm-hmm.
And we've always said it, Sophie. Gabrielle needs a centre half partner, and who's to say it isn't William Saliba? Because Saliba's even bigger.
Okay,
he's even taller.
Hold the mayo there, because I'm gonna get your. That's my last part. Yes. Well, we could get to it now. But one of the things I really wanted to talk about as well was that, we have to remember, and there's some of the squaddies chatting about how, he did have COVID, Kev. Yeah. And we've seen even Kai Havertz come back very slowly from that.
For a bit of form. They struggle for form.
We've seen people in life just struggle coming back from it. And there was a definite dip in form. Mm-hmm. But in the last few games he's started, I think we're starting to see the best of him again.
Yeah.
And one of the moments I think all Arsenal fans were waiting for, and it's been so long since we've had that aerial threat, Kev, from set pieces, an absolute Batistuta monster that can come in and out-muscle everybody and just head the ball with so much power. The header against Olympiacos was brilliant. His performance against Harry Kane in the North London derby was just immense and flawless. So do you think that Gabriel is starting to find his feet again and getting into the groove of things in this really important part of the final act of the season?
Yeah, I really do. I think, obviously, with COVID, it takes, we don't really know fully how much it took out of him. But what we do know, Mikel Arteta took his time to integrate him. At times he put him in and then he would take him out again. He really was very cautious how he handled him. He came back in and he didn't look himself at times, but slowly but surely he's played himself back into form. And I think it's the last probably 3 or 4 games he has looked that player. He has looked that player that he looked earlier on in the season when he was winning back-to-back Arsenal player as a player of the month. I think he's a tremendous player. Seems to be a really humble guy. Teammates love him. Look at them all going over him. And he seems a good character as well. I think him beside Tierney will be a good left-hand side of our team for years to come. That's
Kev,
sure.
I love these two pictures. The look at his face. You've been there,
Yeah.
And then everyone kind of jumped on him. The way they all celebrated together. And the height that he gets as well when he's just celebrating, let alone jumping for a header.
Look, he's way over the he's way over the goal. Look,
and they're all waiting for him to celebrate.
To come down. They're waiting for him to come down. That's what they're doing.
I mean, it's a really beautiful thing to behold and see. So, with that said, let's talk about the future and. An area that we've definitely improved on this season is we're harder to beat and we're leaking less goals. And, Kev, we've done that with a variety of pairings.
Yes.
Pep likes to kind of stick to his pairing. Even Laporte can't get as much game time as he used to. You've got now Stones firing and Diaz firing. Manchester United have had their issues. Chelsea have had some of their issues, but now Tuchel's kind of really got that team ticking in terms of where he wants it to be. We've had Pablo Mari.
But don't forget he's playing a 3 now.
He's playing a 3, right?
Yeah.
He's playing the Conte way.
Yeah.
So we've had Mari holding. We've had David Luiz, Gabrielle. We've had Gabrielle holding. We've had a little smorgasbord, a meze of centre-backs. Which one tastes the best, Kev? When everyone is fit, as we sit right now, Saliba we'll get to in a minute.
Louise and Gabriel at the moment. One's got the experience. One has got the power, the pace, the technique. One's got everything. David Luiz has been there, seen it, done it. And we always talk about, as fans, leaders. We need leaders. We need leaders. I think Gabriel could be a leader, but he needs to be taught how to be a leader in this country. And I think David Luiz is the ideal partner for him right now, this season. Although I'm hoping Gabrielle next season is the leader.
So this is where I wanted to go with you, because to me right now, and again, I defended David Luiz. We all did, saying that, yes, he's made mistakes, but really since the City game, he hasn't put a foot wrong. And there's a reason why he's getting an extension on his deal, Kev. He's a leader in the dressing room. He's a leader on the pitch. Players respect him. And he's kind of endeared himself to Arsenal fans, which for a Chelsea player, an ex-Chelsea player, is hard to do. I'm not ever sure Petr Cech did that. I'm not sure Willian's done that yet, but somehow David Luiz has. And I think when you wear your mistakes on your sleeve, you own them and you're not unafraid and you don't hide.
Doesn't hide. Yeah, he don't hide.
I think fans start to respect that. And so for me, when I see him I never thought I'd say this, but when I see him on the team sheet with a Gabrielle, I feel at ease, maybe more so than Holding, because I think Holding needs a Mari next to him or a Mertesacker type player next to him who positionally is going to be much more astute, smart, less pace.
Talk him through it.
Yes. And Gabrielle's not that guy yet.
No.
Right. And David Luiz, I think he is that guy, but I think that, he just has a different persona as a footballer to the Maris and the Mertesackers of the world. Mm-hmm. So when you see David Luiz and Gabrielle on the team sheet, would that give you confidence? I think so.
I'll be honest with you, Sophie. We were on before the North London derby on Sunday. Well, we didn't have a problem with the back four at all, did we? We had no problem whatsoever. And that for Arsenal, that's good. Cedric was right back. Tierney was left back. We had Luiz and Gabrielle at centre back. No problem for me. I think David Luiz is rubbing off on Gabrielle. And if Gabrielle is that player that I think he is, I think he's going to take on an even bigger mantle for next season.
And maybe there's something to be said about, culture connections. There's nothing wrong with that. They're both Brazilian. And I'm sure that Gabrielle's looked up to David Luiz in terms of his career as a Brazilian. Martinelli, the same thing. We had that with the French contingent of our players, Spanish as well.
South London.
South London boys.
Yeah, we had it.
Yeah.
Serious, we had it, because when I say South London, you could chuck David Hillier into that as well, you see. David Hillier was a South London boy.
Yeah.
And he was part of that squad. So everybody just connects. That's just the way it is.
So let's get to the point then that eventually, it might not happen for a while, Kev, but do you believe that, by the way, when we talk South London, let's not forget, I always have this picture on deck. I mean,
Brixton massive.
It's happening right there. Do you think Saliba's going to be, we don't know yet, Kev. I'm not even sure we can talk about it because we don't know, but the dream would be.
Talk about it.
Okay, let's go. You can talk about it. You're much more educated than I am on this one.
Well, I wouldn't say I'm more educated than you, but what I will say is this. Mikel Arteta hasn't sent him out on loan for nothing. He sent him out to make sure he plays football and he comes back and he's ready. That's going to be the key. You're going to get your chance, Saliba. Be ready. Playing under 23 football, Mikel Arteta saw it's doing him no good. It's doing him no good because you're playing with boys who are learning the game. Mm-hmm. It's not going to do him any good. He needs to be playing first team football where everybody kind of knows their job. So he can push on. And that's what he's doing. And he probably knows he wouldn't play enough if he stayed in England. Mm-hmm. So loan him back, let him do his bit. Because he's on, 19? He'll be 20 when he comes back in the summer. Think about it, Sophie's a baby. But boy, having a 20-year-old and a 23, 24-year-old at centre-half, big, imposing, both quick, aggressive, I'll take that.
And Kev, without injuries, that's an 8 to 10 year partnership in the making potentially.
I'll tell you what, let's call it 6 years as a partnership.
Okay, fair in modern day football.
Once they grow, 6 years. That 6 years is a long time in football, but it isn't. Do you know what I mean? So we've got to maximize it.
Totally. And people are asking you about how Saliba's doing. He's doing very well in Nice. He's winning player of the
month and all
month
that
and week and man of the match, left, right and center here. So there's no doubt that he's doing really well. And when it comes to like this guy who everyone's talking about today, Kev, and of course we've got this guy who we're hoping we can keep. And, you then go to a signing as well, this guy who's found his feet, and then you've got this guy And then you add this guy on top of that. Is the plan marinating and formulating here? Are these going to be the new? Because even I liked what Arteta said about Gabriel Martinelli today in his presser, and it's a bit like Saliba. Wait your time, bide your time.
You're the future.
There's a plan for you.
Yeah, you're the future, basically.
When you look at those images and those players, and you surround them maybe with a little bit more experience as well.
Bit more quality around them as well.
I'm excited about that.
You know what, Sophie? We've had this discussion earlier on in the season on another show, and our problem has always been, Sophie, not that Mikel Arteta has brought in quality players, but it's going to take them a little bit of time to bed in. And on paper, our team should be doing better than they were. Now everyone's starting to gel a little bit. The dressing room seems to be okay. The culture's getting there, and you're starting to see an uptick in form. And now we're starting to have these conversations about, actually, look at the players we've got. Look at the players who were brought in. And you could start to see the formation of a squad coming. A team and a squad. Good young players who can play. They're energetic. They've got plenty energy in them, about them. They're aggressive. They want to play for Arsenal, which is very important. And then you start thinking to yourself, hold on, if we could add a couple of pieces here and there, Sophie, we will have a really strong squad. And this is what the problem has been over the years, because we haven't recruited in this way for a while. And we're just seeing it now. And Gabriel is one of the outstanding signings for sure.
I mean, I think this was his signature game, Kev.
Whoa, there's Harry Kane. Well done. Whoa.
We found him. I found him in another pick too, Casey. He looks like he's about to fall over here as well, which is why he had to barge him. And basically, if that was on the street, that would be assault and someone could call the police. But this is how bright he was shining after that game. I mean, there's no doubt in my mind that this player is very special. Of all the players we've signed, Kevin, Tierney and he, Reece, are the ones I'm so excited about. Because I think, here's what worries me about Thomas Partey right now is injuries. Tierney the same. Gabrielle, I think, was put back because of COVID. And look, any injuries can happen to players at any time, Kev, but he seems to be built really well, real strong. And he has that physicality about him that hopefully he'll have that. It's almost like he has a force field shield around him, And are you worried at all about the injuries to Partey right now? Because in order for a Gabriel to succeed, he needs to have that Thomas Partey in front of him, right? He also needs a Tierney on his left side.
That's right.
He's going to need a Saka and an ESR.
But he's going to need somebody beside him.
And he's going to need somebody
like
beside
Louise
him.
has been now. But remember, Louise is just short term. He's going to need somebody young, quick, aggressive, somebody he can partner with and say, right, we got this today. To form a real partnership. I don't think it's Rob Holding, myself. I think Rob Holding could come in
squad player
and do a job. I think he's a squad player. I think Pablo Mari could be it. But I really think the club have invested the money in Saliba to get him beside Gabriel. I'm telling you, the future is... Listen, Saliba's 19, 20. I think he's 20.
He's going to be 20. I think he just turned 20, didn't he?
20 years. Yeah. 20 years old.
Yeah.
That is young to be a centre half at Arsenal. I think Tony Adams came through it around that time. It's young. So,
we haven't seen it really. John Terry might be the last one of the big six supposed that came in so young and you know what I mean, Kev? It just doesn't happen.
Played regular and dominated. Again, you don't really see it, but Arsenal don't invest 30 million quid on Saliba to loan him out a couple of times for him not to come back ready. Let me tell you. That makes no sense.
Otherwise, sell him and move on. Take the money and run.
But it makes no sense, Sophie.
Mm-hmm.
The amount of teams who was in for Saliba, we got him. Yeah, he might not be ready yet, but I believe he could be one of, they're calling him the next Varane, and I don't want to put that on him, right? But when you think about it, people don't talk in them terms if you haven't got something. And he's played full season and more in the French league. So he needs to be the partner of Gabrielle.
Mm-hmm.
That's what he needs to do. And I think he will be.
Yeah. I'm really excited about Gabrielle. And I'm going to forgive the lateness today, Taib and Matty K. You will not go on timeouts, by the way. Kev's here, and he's giving you a yellow, not a straight red. Newman just deserved a straight red just because he's Newman. I think we'll all agree on that. But I am super excited about Gabrielle, Kevin. I think that he's just the player that you've said over and over on this show that we need. Yeah. And that we've missed. And, you know, when these top teams are after players like this, and the fact that we outfought them, and look at the teams that we outfought that had Champions League football. Yeah. So it says a lot about how he felt with Nicola Pepe playing in Lille. That says a lot about Nicola as a teammate, let's be honest. But It also says a lot about one of my favorite lines in any movie, Glenn Ross, always be closing.
Ross, yeah.
And Edu and Arteta seem to have the knack of closing, selling a vision, selling a dream, selling a future, because he had the pick of the bunch. He could have gone anywhere, Kev.
He could have gone anywhere. He could have gone anywhere, really. And the Arsenal won. And you've got to give that down to Edu and Arteta, because they sold him what was to come. They really believe it. He signed because he wants to be a part of that project and a long-term part of it. You know, he could be a dominant centre-half in this league for years to come. And I think he will be. They need to get his partner right. And I think Saliba is getting the game time for him to come in next season and start.
Yeah. Oh, my God. I've made a terrible mistake. I accidentally blocked Matty K. How do I unblock him? Help me, somebody. Oh, my gosh. I've literally gone red from being embarrassed. Matty K, I don't know if you can still hear me, but I am so sorry. And MK, it's all your fault, by the way, because you said, and someone said Newman called about consistency. So I thought I'd put Matty K on a timeout and Taib on a timeout. And in essence, I've literally blocked Matty K.
Sorry, Matty. Free Matty. Yes, Johnny boy. Free Matty Alcott. Yes, free Matty K. Hastings Gouda. Oh, yeah, man. Yeah.
He's not like blocked forever, right, you guys? I have to find out how to get him back.
Geez.
Oh, my God.
We've got to get him back.
God, I feel terrible. Listen, I've got to keep up. I've got to be consistent, Kev. I can't be a wishy-washy, host here. If they're calling me out for saying I'm treating Newman one way and the others get away with it, and they're regular squaddies and they're part of the advisory board, I mean, I've got to make a move here.
You've got to deal with them, haven't you? You got to deal with them, you see. Sophie broke the neck, yes. Oh, jeez.
Okay, I'll find it in my settings. Thanks. If anyone can get to Matty K at this point, please do apologize on my behalf. Right, Kev. So in true player profile form, our final assessment is money.
Money, yep.
The points, money, attributes, future, team player, go.
Mentality. I think his mentality is aggressive, which we've needed in a defender for years, and he provides it. I think his attributes of his height, his aerial dominance, his strength, his speed makes him a formidable defender to get around, and he's one that we really needed over all these years. I just hope that Saliba could come in and be the right partner for him, because with them two at the back, what a foundation that could be. With Tierney as a fullback, Cedric and another, who we're not sure who will bring in potentially at the end of the season. Obviously, there's shout Hector Bellerin might be surplus to requirements, or he might fancy a change. But I think we need another right back. And if you've got a strong defense, you've got a chance, guys. You've got a chance to really improve.
Kev, do you still think, because a few people before we go have talked about Mavropanos, and if Mavropanos is going to be, he's got a call up from Greece as well, and he's really doing well in Germany. Again, a player that we've sent out on loan now to 2 different teams, haven't been able to cut the cord yet with him. Is he going to be one that's battling and in with a shout? Especially as you've got an aging David Luiz who's going to be morphed out of the team eventually. You've got Holding, you've got Gabriel, you've got Saliba. What do you think about that?
I just think Mavropanos is going to be a pawn in the summer transfer window. They've obviously invested a lot of money. They've give Rob Hodding a new contract. Pablo Mari's at the club. David Luiz will get another year because he can do a job in the first team. And Saliba's coming back, and you've got the mainstay number 1 in Gabrielle. So, you know, Mavropanos, if he comes back, he's what is he, 6 in line? It's not happening. Yeah, if you could get money for him and invest it somewhere else.
Yeah. He's playing very well. All the comments are true. There's no doubt about that. And he's got the height as well. I remember I got a sore neck looking up at him when I was talking to him in LA. But mind you, I'll get a sore neck looking up at anybody with all of my 5'2"ness. That'll scare anyone. Right, that's how
you got the samurai, you see. Ask Matty K. He ain't happy.
Kev, what have I done? What have I done? What have I done?
What have you done?
I mean, it started off all good, and then I absolutely buggered it. Yes, I spoke Greek to him and to Socrates. I'll share my Socrates video with you guys again. But it was nice. Socrates kind of stood up for me in front of the PR and communications department when I was talking to him. So, yeah, very nice. Mavropanos I talked to about Greek food, and I talked to him about his injury as well.
Static, you're right. Samurai Sophie, she take Matike's head off. It's true. She took his head off block. Head gone. I actually want to get off the show so I could go fix this. That's how bad I feel. So if Matty K gets in touch with anybody, tell him, I mean, how many humble pies am I going to eat this season? No, you must like the taste of humble pie, my darling. You must like the taste of it.
I did not speak Welsh, no. All right, so Kev, anything else anyone needs to know about Gabriel? I think we're good, right?
No, we're good. I think he's going to be a mainstay in the team for years to come. And it's just a matter of, he's got the partner on the left-hand side. Luiz is the short-term partner this season. But I think we need a long-term partner who's going to be playing beside him. And I think that might be Saliba. If anybody thinks any different, put it in the chat. Let's hear it.
You know, someone was asking, Kev, so how many people should be competing for a centre-back role? Like, here it is. Where is it? Anik. Question for Kev. How many central defenders a contending squad needs? 6?
No, usually 5. It's usually 5 players, because you got obviously 2 twos, and then you got 1 spare, which I think will be David Luiz. So,
okay. Yeah. All right. Okay. And the good news is that Newman is in touch with Matty K on Twitter, and he's laughing about it. So I'm off the hook. Okay. And yeah, so Zod backs what you're saying 110%. That threw me off, you guys. It's not often I get thrown off, but I do get thrown off when I do something that I hope nobody's offended by. And that's where I get thrown off, because I never want to offend anybody. But the good news is our squaddies have a great sense of humor, Kev, and Matty K is fine. So we can move on. Absolutely brilliant.
Great squaddies.
Brilliant stuff. Thanks again, Kev. Don't forget, you guys.
Big game tomorrow.
Big game tomorrow. A huge game tomorrow for the Arsenal. And also, we have a big auction going as well with our partners over at Football Prizes, of course. As you know, we have the Thomas Partey shirt signed to give away, $4.95 for a ticket. We'll be giving a free ticket late Thursday night, but do not wait because these are going thick and fast. So if you want a Thomas Partey shirt, be sure to get stuck in. Go to footballprizes.co.uk. And don't forget, in the description for each show, you can check out the football app and accept a special invitation from Super Kev to join the community. And there's a code there for you as well. So be sure to check out the football app, marrying technology, social media, and the beautiful game where you can earn and spend on stuff wherever and however you like. So please make sure you check out the football app. And if you have any questions about any of this stuff, hit us up at the highburysquad@gmail.com. On Friday, we've got the fan forum. Send us an email if you want to be part of the show. And other than that, Kev, we're going to be back tomorrow. Should we do a prediction for tomorrow? Why not?
I think it'll be 3-1 again. I think we'll score early. I'd like to see Aubameyang start because I want to see what type of character he's going to come in with. I think that's going to be really important for us moving forward because I know you kind of say, keep him on the bench and stuff like that, but we've got a lot of important games coming up, Sophie, and the league game against West Ham is going to be key as well, and we're going to need all our firepower.
Listen, Kev, I think even Arteta alluded to the fact Diawu, I think Chambers should be sold. Sorry. I think Kev agrees with me. It's time to go. Kev, I think Arteta alluded to the fact that maybe he said that he needs to earn his way back into the team. Mm-hmm. So I'm not sure he'll start on Thursday. He might be on the bench.
Let's see. Well, do you know what? If he's on the bench, fine. And then he'll be ready for West Ham. Well, let's see anyway. Do you know what? I never question the manager's decisions, Soph. Whoever he chooses to pick, whoever he chooses to leave out, I don't question it because, listen, he's around the team more than I am. He knows better than I do. But the key is results at the end of the day. We need to get the results.
Okay, real quick before you go, Sophie time, of course, Super Kev, and we're under an hour. We've got a whole 8 minutes to spare. Does Martinelli start? I don't think so. Not based on what we heard this week.
Not based on not based on what we've seen of late. Mm-hmm. But it wouldn't surprise me if he chucked him in. It just wouldn't. But I don't think so because I think the team have been functioning pretty well without him, to be honest.
Yeah, I think Pepe starts.
Yes,
tomorrow?
I think Pepe starts.
Pepe will start.
Yeah, because Saka, with his hamstring, we've got to be careful with him. So
yeah,
I think Pepe would start.
And the back two are going to be Gabriel and David Luiz, or are you going to rest one of David Luiz and bring in Pablo Mari maybe?
I personally think I think he might go with the same two at the centre halves. I think Bellerin will come back in. Mm-hmm. Hector Bellerin will come back in. I'm sure of that. I'm not sure if Teddy Ceballos will start.
Hope not.
Yeah, you know what I mean.
Would you rest Thomas Partey for this game? I would play Xhaka and El Neni.
Well, here's the funny thing. If you noticed, Sophie, Thomas Partey weren't coming off against Spurs, was he? Have you noticed that? There was no even thinking. That was the one he had to get through. Mm-hmm. That game he had to get through. So even if you rested him, put El Neni in, and you kept Partey on the bench for this one, but I'd still want him to start. I'd still want Partey to start because now it's time to push on.
Yeah, get into the groove of playing and you're consistently being out there and climatizing with the pace of the game and the season and And Lone Star, we are behind Aubameyang. There is no one in this room who is not behind Aubameyang.
100% behind Aubameyang. We just want to see how he reacts.
Yes, do not misconstrue criticism with not being behind a guy who saved us for 2 seasons, let's be honest. But also don't forget, like, bad behavior isn't accepted either. So there you have it. Right. Super, Kev. That is it for tonight. Don't forget, you can catch Kevin Says, a brilliant episode last night with some fantastic subjects, all about the Arsenal. Great questions, getting a phenomenal response. And Kev, there's so many comments that I'm going to bring them back to you on a show.
Yeah, we should do a recap show.
A recap show, because I'm being inundated with messages. So we'll do that. And maybe we'll bring some up in the fan forum on Friday. I think that would be good.
Yeah.
I think that would be good timing. So we'll see you guys and squaddies tomorrow night after the Olympiacos game. I think we'll be joined by our good friends over at Arsenal Algeria for a little bit of a chat and a comment from them on the match too. Don't forget, if you want to be part of the show, email thehighburysquad@gmail.com. Until then, Super Kevin Campbell.
You know, Arsenal got to win tomorrow, and then we got to do the Hammers. Come on, you Gunners.